everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
I fasted 40 days and my wife changed. And no, I wasn't fasting for her to change. Yes, I was also fasting for my marriage too, not necessarily for her or for me, but because we were having conflict that was continuous. And so God put me on a fast, and originally the fast was supposed to be from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was a 3-day fast. When I got to Sunday, which I thought was the last day of the fast, God said, you're going to fast until next Sunday. And so the 3-day fast turned into a 7-day fast. When I get to the following Sunday, God said, you're going to go until next month on the 15th. And now I'm thinking like, Lord, like, come on now, like, what are you doing? But at the end of the day, I made peace with it, because if God was calling me to this fast, then I had to change my focus on what I would gain more than what I would lose. And so during this 40 days, I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would pray for hours. I would go to work, I would get off work, I would go back into prayer for hours. I spent a lot of time in the Word. I spent a lot of time in prayer. I spent a lot of time just seeking God and just surrendering myself to God. And during this time, there were moments where my wife was throwing a fit. She felt like she was being neglected. She felt like certain ways I wasn't showing up for her. And it really was frustrating me, because I want to be there for my wife how she wants me to be. But I also want to be obedient and submit to this fast how God is calling me to submit. And so I remember praying. I remember crying out to God one night. I'm like, Lord, all I want to do is what you told me to do. And God said to me, just like Nehemiah told Sanballat, Geshem, and Tobiah, God said, why must the work cease that you come down to her? He said, you keep doing what I told you to do, and I'll deal with her. I still loved on her. I still showed her attention. I still showed her affection, but I was busy still. I still had to work, and I still had to do my daily functions. But when I wasn't working and doing some of the things that I needed to do so our house could operate like it's supposed to, during this 40 days, I would say 85% of my time was either spent in the Word, spent in worship, or spent in prayer. I was like Jacob. I was going to wrestle with God until he spoke to me, until he gave me clarity, until he did something and changed something that was happening in my life. I would say probably about 3 days after the fast, my wife came to me and she apologized. She apologized for some things that had went on during the fast, some things that had went on in the last 6 months, some things that had went on in the last year, or even since we was married. Like, she apologized for so many different things. And I would say probably the first 20 days after the fast, she apologized at least 10 of those days. And I got to the point where I'm like, babe, you ain't got to apologize. Like, this stuff, I wasn't holding it against you. Yes, it was affecting me, but a lot of the things that she was apologizing for was ways that I felt, but I never articulated to her. But because I submitted to God, because I submitted to the fast, because I stayed the course, even when it got hard, even when it got frustrating, even when it looked like my own house was in disarray, God dealt with my wife, and she apologized to me day after day after day after day. And after it was all said and done, after the apologies finally subsided, my wife was a whole new person. When she was in her feelings or she was upset, she articulated herself in a healthy way to let me know how I was affecting her. She no longer projected her feelings onto me. I saw my wife getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, so she could read her word, so she can get into the presence of God. I watched my wife be more intentional about her love and her support from me. Like, my wife became a whole new woman. There were so many times that I realized that doing this new version of her, that I was expecting the old response, that I was expecting her to show up like she used to, and having that expectation for her to do that, when she met me with something different, like, it blew my mind. I continuously encouraged her and continuously had to tell her out loud, like, baby, you different. Baby, you handle your emotions different. I see you feel some type of way and you regulate your emotions better. The way that you've been doing self-care and sewing into yourself, the way that you have been intentional about you, I can see that same intentionality and that love towards me. Like, baby, I love that for you. I love that for us. I fasted for 40 days. and my wife changed. We was having some of the same conflict over and over and over and over again. And God took me to the scripture where the disciples went to Jesus because they tried to cast out a demon, but they couldn't cast this demon out. And so they called Jesus to come cast out the demon out of this man. And Jesus cast the demon out. And the disciples said to Jesus, why weren't we able to cast this demon out? And Jesus replied to the disciples. He said, some things only go by fasting and praying. And so he showed me that the enemy had his hooks in our marriage. The enemy had his hooks in certain ways that he was attacking my wife, in certain ways that he was attacking my mental and the viewpoint that I had against my wife. But it took that 40-day fast to break the hold, to break the chains and what he was producing in our marriage. And so I say that, and I give this testimony just for you listening, because you feel like things ain't changing, because you feel like he's still acting the same, because you feel like she just don't get it. Well, maybe you need to get your flesh off of display. Maybe you need to go fast. Maybe you need to be like Jacob and wrestle with God until he breaks the strongholds off of your marriage, until he changes your perspective so you can give your person a clean slate. The Bible says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And so there are a lot of us that oftentimes try to fight battles in our flesh, try to fight battles in our own strength and our own will, when the battles need to be fought in prayer, when the battles need to be fought on our knees, surrendered to the altar, so God can have the final say and so he can get the glory out of the situation.
What to do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video, back in the confessional, and yes, we staying lit, big dog, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. Shout out to everybody on Twitch and Facebook, man. We can stay lit and live. You know where you can check me out. What I say to that is, he's not talking to the women. He's not telling the women what they need to do to change. I know there will be some people who take this out of context, but what this is saying is, I said this in the post the other day. I said, women have the same complaints about us, men. These same complaints. Y'all not providers. Y'all don't take us out. Y'all don't treat us nice. Y'all not mentally healed. At what point is a man gonna go to himself and go to God, if whatever he believes, and be like, I need to correct myself. If I correct myself, that should project on my woman. And if I correct myself and it projects on my woman, then things can change. I wonder if this works on baby mamas. I don't know if it's gonna work on baby mamas. They, at this point, they just gonna be bitter. But what I be saying is, when I get out of relationships, and I don't get out of many, it ain't just like that. I do, but when I get out of it, I be like, what was wrong? What went wrong? Why did I feel this? Why did she feel this? Or even if it's not a relationship, if it's meeting a girl and she's feeling some type of way, oh, you not this enough, or you not that enough. And one time I was dating this girl. Oh, I wasn't even dating. I was just talking to her, like just getting to know her. She said, "You not consistent enough for me. You're not." I guess I wasn't on her bumper enough. I guess I wasn't hitting her up enough. You know what? Maybe I didn't like her enough. And I figured that out. I was like, well, she didn't do nothing but do me a favor, you know, because I just can't be with everybody. And so everybody, if that person is just if that's your person, that's your person. And also I'm working. I do YouTube, like, dude, I got a teenager. I got a full-time job. you know. So finding love can be difficult, especially if they need consistency. So I was like, I had to step back and I was like, man, then how can I be more consistent? If I'm ready for a relationship and I find a woman that I truly like, that truly likes me, how can I be more consistent to her? And see, that's why I said, men, we don't even think about fixing ourselves, and that will fix the woman problem. I ain't worried about no girl talking about not going 50-50 on the internet. That shit ain't got nothing to do with me. If I fix myself, then I know whatever comes to me is gonna be for me. And that's why it's gonna be for me. So that's why I always work on myself. And I try to learn, man, listen, I try to be better in all my relationships. And I don't be perfect, but I try to be better. But I'm gonna tell you what, shit, it just get better. I might not have been good for you, but I'm gonna be better for the next one. Honey Mama says sometimes people are only meant to be in our lives for a season. When we realize that, it makes breakups more easy to deal with, in my opinion. Well, I say that, but then if it's your wife, or if this is your, if you believe in God and you like, all right, God, send me a person, send me somebody who loves me for me, and He sends you somebody, and you ain't did no work on yourself, what He's talking about is He fasts for His family, He fasts for His wife, He fasts for His marriage, He fasts to change things in Himself. He had to be the leader. This is why they say, I want a man that's going to lead. I want a man that's going to lead. That man led. But see, a simple mind wouldn't see that as a leader. Somebody who's not in tune with what a leader is, they like, oh, he just sitting over there fasting and praying, but he not showing me attention. That man is going to God looking for something better. He's doing this for his livelihood, his family. He's cleansing the evils in his life. And because she was a God-fearing woman, she felt it. She felt God come into her life, and He corrected her. And He ain't have to do nothing. He didn't have to tell her, because a woman be like, I ain't listening to no man. But if you a God-fearing woman, you going to listen to God. And that man went to talk to God. And God was the mediator. And God went over to her and said, listen, this man over here fighting for you. And that's what happened. He didn't say those exact words, but it was in a way that made their life better. So we got to talk about like leaders. If niggas be like, I want a leader, I want a man that's gonna lead. That's leading. It ain't a man that's gonna a leader. A man that's gonna lead ain't the man that's gonna pull out his wallet first to pay the bill. That's not a man. That's not a man that leads, man. That's a man that pays. A man that leads is not going. A man that leads is not gonna make sure you have your soft life. No, I take that back. He gonna make sure you have your soft life, but I think people got soft life mixed construed with a man that loves them. A man that loves them, that cherishes them, and he does stuff that she appreciates and she loves on him back. That's a soft life. Not, oh, I need my soft life. I'm tired of working. I'm tired of, I don't want to clean dishes. I want to live my, that ain't soft. That's just, you just don't want to do nothing. That soft life is when your man is catering to you. I ain't talking, it ain't monetary. It's in love. And that man, when that man love you and you feel that love and you love on him back, that's soft life. It ain't got nothing to do with providing. It ain't got nothing to do with leading. It ain't got nothing to do with going 50-50 or 100% on bills. Okay? So, just what it is. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments section.
Everyday people.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in its